The house with no lights. It started like any other Halloween night. Cold air, kids in masks, the smell of pumpkin candles mixing with cheap chocolate. The whole street pulsed with laughter and flashlights. Parents chatted on porches while little monsters begged for candy. It was safe, familiar, the kind of suburban magic that made you forget bad grades, bad news, and the bad things that sometimes lived in the dark. I was 13, armed with a pillowcase and the kind of confidence only a sugar rush can buy. My friends, Mason, Tiff, and Leo, were a few steps ahead, plotting how to hit every house twice before curfew. We were too old to still be doing this, but too young to let it go. Every house glowed, fake cobwebs, orange bulbs, skeletons swinging in the wind. Every house except one, the gray one at the end of Sycamore Street. No decorations, no jack-o'-lantern, no sound, just darkness swallowing the porch, like the house had forgotten what night it was. Mason said it first, bet they've got the good candy. Tiff laughed too hard. Leo muttered, or a body in the basement. We stood at the edge of the driveway, flashlights shaking in our hands. The windows were pitch black, no reflection, no glint, like the glass wasn't glass at all but painted void. Even the wind went quiet there, and the plastic skeletons from the neighboring lawns turned slowly toward it, like they knew better. And yet, something about it pulled me. Curiosity, maybe, or that quiet dare that lives in every kid's bones. So when Mason started walking up the path, I followed. The air got colder. The crunch of gravel underfoot vanished halfway up, like sound itself refused to go closer. I remember the silence when we reached the porch. Even the laughter down the street dimmed, muffled, distant, like we'd stepped behind a curtain. Then the porch light flickered once, just once, and in that single flash of white, I swear I saw a face. Not inside the window, but behind me. We knocked once, then twice, and before the third, click. The door creaked open, slow and heavy, like it hadn't moved in years. The smell hit first, something damp, something like soil that hadn't seen light in a long time. The gap was narrow, but I could see a hallway stretching farther than any hallway should, too long for a one-story house, too dark for the streetlights to reach. "Trick or treat," Mason called out, trying to sound brave. His voice bounced down the hall and came back thinner, warped, like something else was repeating it. Tiff giggled nervously. Leo said, "See? Nobody home," and started to turn away. But the door widened on its own. No wind, no movement, just the slow groan of old hinges. Inside, something glimmered. Not light exactly, more like movement pretending to be light. I leaned forward, squinting. The air inside shimmered like heat waves, though the night was freezing. And then the streetlight behind me flickered. Once, twice, gone. Darkness folded over us. The only glow came from the candy bags, faintly reflecting what little light remained. "Mason?" I said. No answer. I turned, expecting to see him right behind me. He wasn't. Neither were Tiff or Leo. The street was empty. The laughter gone. The houses across the road dark. All of them. Only that house remained visible. The gray siding, the open door, and the long, waiting hallway. My throat went dry. I called again, louder this time. "Mason, Tiff, Leo." But my voice sounded wrong, like it was coming from underwater. Slow, gurgling, distant. That's when I heard it, the whisper. Faint at first, like the house exhaled my own words back to me. Then clearer, softer. My friends' voices, all three, overlapping in a low murmur that rose from the walls. "Join us." I stepped backward. The gravel crunched under my shoes, too loud now, echoing off the dark. The hum began, low and rhythmic, pulsing through the ground. The walls of the house seemed to breathe, the door still open, like a mouth waiting to swallow something new. And somewhere inside that darkness, I thought I saw Mason's flashlight beam, swinging side to side, like a hand waving me in. I turned to run, but the door was gone. Not closed, not hidden, gone, just a solid wall where it had been seconds ago. The same dull gray wallpaper, patterned with faint twisting vines that seemed to move when I wasn't looking. I slapped my hands against it hard, but the sound didn't come back. My palms hit the surface, yet there was no sound, like the house had swallowed it whole. I screamed, but it was silent too. My throat worked, my lungs burned, but no echo, no air. The world had gone mute. That's when I felt the wall breathe back, a soft inhale, a deep exhale. Then the wallpaper began to pulse, slow and wet. I stumbled back as it started to ripple outward, like something beneath it was pressing to get out. The vines on the wallpaper shifted again. Not vines, veins. blue and faintly glowing, branching across the surface like lightning trapped under skin. And then it split. I froze. Faces began to emerge, faint at first, like photographs under ice. Mason, Tiff, Leo, their features pressed out of the wall, mouths open mid-scream, eyes rolled white, skin blending with the plaster. I reached for Mason's face. My fingers brushed the wall and it moved, warm, breathing. His lips trembled like he wanted to say something, but the sound was trapped, muffled by the living paper. That's when I saw it, deeper in the surface, just beyond the others, another face forming. Mine, not a reflection. A version. Pale, terrified, eyes wide, forehead pressing outward from inside the wall. Its mouth opened and I heard, not through my ears but inside my head, my own voice whisper, "Join us." Every instinct screamed to move, but my feet sank into the carpet. No, not carpet anymore. It was soft, wet, like standing on flesh. The wall pulsed again, faster this time, like a heartbeat. The hum turned into a low growl that vibrated through my bones. My skin began to tingle, like static crawling from my feet up to my chest. That's when I screamed. A raw, primal sound, and this time, it worked. The house convulsed. The faces screamed with me, all at once, and the world tore open in a single deafening roar. And somehow, the house let me go. I stumbled outside, gasping like I'd been underwater for hours. The cold hit me hard, real air, sharp and metallic on my tongue. I spun around, expecting the house, the porch, anything familiar, but the street wasn't there. No houses, no kids, no laughter, just one narrow road stretching forward into an ocean of fog. The kind that moves, slow and alive, curling around street signs that weren't really there. I ran. I didn't think, I just ran. My shoes slapped against the asphalt that didn't echo. My pillowcase of candy was gone. My flashlight flickered once, then died. I screamed for Mason, for Tiff, for Leo. Nothing. The sound just dissolved, like the air was eating it. I don't remember falling, only that my knees gave out somewhere between the fog and the silence. The ground tilted, the world spun, and then black. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the grass beside the same sidewalk where it all started. The morning sun was rising. My pillowcase was beside me, half empty. Candy scattered like someone had dropped it in a hurry. Neighbors stood on porches again. Kids' costumes were still drying on clotheslines. Normal. Perfectly normal. Except for the police tape stretched across the end of Sycamore Street. They asked me questions. I told them everything. The door, the hallway, the faces. One officer glanced at another that look adults give when they think you've seen too many horror movies. They said there wasn't a house there, that the lot had been empty for years, condemned after a fire, nothing built since. But I know what I saw. I can still smell the damp air. I can still hear the silence. They found Mason's flashlight in the weeds that morning, cracked, but still warm, like someone had been holding it moments ago. Tiff's scarf turned up a week later, tied to a stop sign a few streets over. Leo's backpack was never found. Everyone said they must have run off, gotten lost, maybe fell into the quarry past the woods. But every time I close my eyes, I see the wallpaper breathing. And sometimes late at night, when the wind hits the windows just right, I still hear them whisper, "Join us." That was years ago. You'd think time would blur it, make it softer, like an old dream that fades at the edges. But it hasn't. If anything, it's sharper now, like the memory's been feeding on me, growing stronger every year. I moved 3 towns over, then 3 more. Changed schools, changed numbers, even changed the way I tell the story when people ask what happened that night. I pretend I don't remember the details, the wallpaper, the whispers, the faces, but I do. God, I do. Every Halloween without fail, I see it again, never in the same place. Sometimes it's at the end of a quiet suburban street, sometimes off a country road half hidden by trees. Always the same. No pumpkins, no porch light, just a house sitting in the dark, waiting. I used to think it was my imagination, trauma playing tricks on me. But then I started to notice things, little things, a reflection in the rearview mirror that didn't match the street behind me, a voice on the wind saying my name when no one else was there. And once, last year, a single candy wrapper on my doorstep. Full size, perfectly folded, my name written across it in red ink. I didn't touch it. I told myself it was a prank. But deep down, I knew better. Because when I bent down to look closer, I heard it. A whisper, faint but clear enough to chill my bones. "Mason, Tiff, Leo, join us." I haven't slept properly since. And tonight, As I was driving home from work, I saw it again. Different town, different road, same impossible house. Same windows, same door, no lights. I slowed the car. My breath fogged the windshield, and for a split second, I swear I heard them, my friends, calling my name from inside. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you. If you felt that chill crawl up your spine, take a moment to like this video. It helps others find our stories. Subscribe for daily dark tales that stay with you long after the lights go out. And share this with someone who enjoys a good scare. Or maybe just needs a reason to keep their porch light on tonight. There's another story waiting for you on your screen. I'll see you back here tomorrow. The final house on Ashmore Lane. Everyone in our town knew the story. The house at the end of Ashmore Lane was where Halloween went to die. It was the last stop of the night. I was 12, dressed as a vampire with plastic fangs that kept falling out. My friends Dylan, Mara, and Joey dared me to knock. Ashmore Lane wasn't like the rest of town. It was quieter, emptier, like sound itself got nervous there. The street lamps never worked right, and the fog, the fog seemed to rise from the ground like breath. The house stood alone at the curb where the asphalt split into dirt. Its windows sagged and ivy crawled up the sides like veins on a corpse. No pumpkins, no lights, no sign of life. Just one candle flickering behind a yellow lace curtain, too still to be wind, too dim to feel human. They said a woman lived there, old, pale, dressed in black. Some said she'd lost her son in a fire years ago. Others said she never had one, but waited every Halloween for him anyway. We laughed about it all week. But standing there, bag full of candy and nerves starting to hum under my skin, I realized something. This wasn't the kind of house you visited. It was the kind that noticed you. The closer we got, the colder it became. Even the crickets stopped singing. The kind of silence that presses against your chest until you can hear your own pulse. "Go on," Dylan whispered, shoving me forward. "Knock, Dracula." I wanted to laugh, to roll my eyes, to be brave, but my fingers shook as I reached for that chipped wooden door. And right before I touched it, before my knuckle even met the wood, it opened. Just a few inches, enough to let the candlelight fall across my shoes. And a voice, faint and tremoring, said, "You're late." We ran halfway down the path before anyone spoke. Joey was the first to laugh, too loud, too forced. "Dude, it's fake, probably plastic." But his voice cracked on the word plastic. Mara wasn't laughing. She stared at the door, her face pale beneath the glow of her cat ear headband. "Did you hear her?" she whispered. "She said we were late." "Yeah," Dylan snorted. "Late for what? Snack time?" But even he didn't sound convinced. We argued for a bit, because that's what scared kids do. We built noise to fill the silence. Then the porch light flickered on. Once, twice, then stayed lit. And behind the lace curtain, a shape moved. "Maybe she's just old," Joey said. "Maybe she needs help." He took a step toward the porch. "Don't," Mara hissed. But Dylan, grinning like the idiot he was, picked up my fallen candy bag and tossed it at the door. It hit the wood with a soft thud, then slid open again by itself. No wind, no hinges creaking, just the door, swinging inward like it had been waiting. The smell hit first, something sweet, rotten, syrupy, like fruit left too long in the sun. "Okay," Dylan said, "I'm out." But before we could move, we heard it. Footsteps, slow, bare, crossing the floorboards inside. Then, a child's giggle. We froze. All of us. That sound didn't belong there. It was high-pitched, playful, alive. "Maybe she's got grandkids," Joey whispered. "Yeah," I said. "Then where are they?" Because the laugh was coming closer. And it wasn't echoing inside the house. It was coming from the candlelight. The flame in the window bent sideways, stretching like it was pulled by invisible fingers. And for a heartbeat, I saw faces. Dozens of them, pressed against the inside of the glass. Children, their eyes dark hollows, their mouths moving like they were whispering something I couldn't hear. I stumbled backward, heart clawing at my ribs. The curtain dropped. The light went out. Mara screamed. And from somewhere deep inside the house came the sound again, the sound of chewing, slow and wet. Then beneath it, a whisper that didn't belong to any of us. "Don't be afraid. It's just your turn." I screamed until my throat tore raw, but no sound seemed to reach past the fog. Every direction looked the same. Endless gray swallowing the streetlights, the houses, the world. My sneakers slapped the asphalt. but each step echoed like I was running in circles. Dylan, Mara, Joey. My voice cracked. Nothing answered back except the whisper of leaves dragging across the road. Then I saw it, the house, still standing at the end of the lane like it had moved with me. Same flickering candle, same crooked shutters. Only now the door was wide open. Someone was standing inside. A figure no taller than me, small shoulders, bare feet. Joey? I called out, desperate. The shape tilted its head, slowly, then stepped forward. The candlelight hit its face, and I saw it wasn't Joey. It wasn't anyone. It was a mask made of stretched skin, eyes sewn shut, lips drawn into a permanent smile. I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet, scrambling on my hands. The fog thickened until I could barely see my fingers. The door creaked again, and the woman's voice floated out, sweet, trembling, almost kind. You shouldn't have left without saying thank you. And then I felt it. Something cold brushing my neck, breath that wasn't mine. I turned. Dylan's vampire cape, Mara's cat ears, Joey's sneakers, all scattered on the ground beside me, empty. But their faces, those faces from the window, were staring from inside the lace curtain. The candlelight pulsed brighter, until it felt alive, reaching for me. Come back inside, the woman whispered. He doesn't like when one escapes. My body froze. Every instinct screamed run, but my legs refused. I felt the heat of the flame even from the porch. It flickered once, then burst into black smoke. When I opened my eyes, I was on my front lawn. My mother shaking me awake, candy spilled around me. They said they never found my friends, said I must have run home after getting scared. But I know what I saw. I know I didn't imagine the note that came in my bag. The one folded perfectly beside a small bloody tooth. The note that said, "You forgot your smile." After that night, life didn't go back to normal, at least not for me. The police kept asking questions I couldn't answer. They combed the woods, drained the creek, searched every yard within 2 miles. Nothing. No Dylan, no Mara, no Joey. Just 3 empty costumes that didn't fit anyone anymore. They said I was lucky to be alive. I didn't feel lucky. I felt watched. At school, people whispered when I passed. The parents didn't let their kids near me. I overheard someone call me the boy who made up ghosts to hide what he did. But I knew what I saw, what I heard. The nights were the worst. The house was gone from every map, but I could still feel it, like a splinter lodged too deep to pull out. Sometimes I'd wake to the sound of trick-or-treat bags rustling. Other times to laughter, children's laughter, cutting through the dark like a blade. And then came the tapping, soft at first, polite almost. Tap, 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 like someone testing the glass. The first time, I told myself it was a branch. The second time, a bird. But birds don't whisper your name between knocks. I started sleeping with the lamp on. The sound stopped when the light was on. Always, until one night, it didn't. That's when I heard her again. The voice from the porch. Gentle, warm, the kind that belongs to bedtime stories and rocking chairs. "Don't be sad, dear," she said. "You'll smile again soon." My blood went cold. I turned to the window. The curtain swayed though the window was closed. I forced myself to look. Nothing, just fog. A flicker of orange far beyond the trees. A candlelight, steady, patient, burning in the distance. I ran to my mom's room, crying, shaking, trying to explain. She held me tight, told me it was a nightmare. But when I said the name, Ashmore Lane, she went silent. After a long pause, she whispered, "Honey, there is no Ashmore Lane. That area's been empty for 50 years. And then, faintly, from the direction of my room, 3 soft knocks. 1, 2, 3, followed by a child's laugh just beneath her voice. "Found you." It's been 15 years. I moved 3 towns over, changed my name, tried therapy, religion, even hypnosis. But none of it worked. You can't forget something that still remembers you. Every year, October 31st, I find it. A bag of candy sitting neatly on my porch. Always the same. Black ribbon, orange paper, a faint smell of smoke. Inside, 1 tooth. Sometimes small, sometimes yellowed with age. Once it was a molar with a filling just like my dad's. I stopped opening them after the 5th year. But somehow they still end up inside my house. Sometimes I dream of her. Not the monster people imagine, but a woman. Lonely, waiting, smiling too wide. She hums to herself, brushing dust off a child's shoe. There's always a candle in the corner, flickering low, and behind her, shapes moving in the dark, like children running, playing, laughing. Only their laughter doesn't stop. It just loops, over and over. And every time I wake up, my cheeks hurt, My lips ache, like I've been smiling for hours. I started covering my mirrors after the 10th Halloween. The reflections began showing what my face would look like without the smile. Hollow, sunken, wrong. Maybe that's her curse. Maybe that's her gift. I don't know anymore. But I've come to believe that she doesn't want revenge. She wants company. And every year she's building a collection. So if you ever find yourself walking down a foggy lane and see a house with no lights, don't let curiosity win. Don't tell yourself it's just a story. Don't knock, because she only opens the door for those who've forgotten how to smile. And trust me, she always knows who they are. Thank you for listening to The Final House on Ashmore Lane. If this story left your heart racing, or your lights just a little brighter tonight, hit that like button. It helps the channel grow and brings more stories your way. Don't forget to subscribe for daily horror tales that keep you up just a bit too late, and share this story with someone who loves a good scare. There's another chilling story waiting for you right now, just on your screen. Go ahead, watch it. I'll see you back here tomorrow. The Candyman's Smile. It started as a stupid dare. You know the kind you make when you're 13 and think you're invincible. Knock on the door of the old man at the end of Miller Street, the one everyone called the Candyman. Halloween night, the kind that smelled like burnt pumpkin guts and cheap plastic masks. The street buzzed with laughter, the kind that cracked and echoed between houses. I remember the wind carrying the faint tune of a music box from somewhere I couldn't place. It didn't belong to any of the houses. It drifted, like it was looking for someone. We all knew his house, 2 stories, paint the color of old teeth, windows too dark to see through. Kids crossed the street just to avoid walking by it. The story went that the Candyman used to work at a factory that made chocolate bars. Something happened, machines fire a scream, and since then, he never left his home. But every Halloween, without fail, the porch light flicked on, and he gave out full-size candy bars, like it was his way of saying, "I'm still here." That's what made it a good dare. "Go knock, bring something back," Tyler said, grinning under his skull mask. I could have said no. I should have said no. But pride's a funny thing when you're 13. It whispers louder than fear. The path crunched under my sneakers as I walked up. The house loomed over me, silent except for the creak of the porch boards. My hand shook when I knocked. Once, twice, nothing. Then light. A warm amber glow spilled from the crack beneath the door. The knob turned, slow, too slow. When it opened, he was there, tall, thin, with skin that looked stretched too tight over bone. He wore an apron stained dark like syrup, but it was his smile that froze me in place. Too wide, too deliberate, and it didn't move even when he spoke. "Happy Halloween," he said, voice smooth as melted chocolate. He dropped a candy bar into my hand. But when I looked down at it, my name was written across the wrapper, in neat, looping letters. That's when I knew. The stories weren't about the candy, they were about what he kept inside. He invited me in, just for a second, said he wanted to show me something special. The second I crossed the threshold, the air changed. It was warm, too warm, and the smell, God, the smell, like syrup poured over meat that had gone bad. It clung to my tongue, sweet and rotten all at once. His house looked alive. The walls shimmered under the dim orange light, covered top to bottom in candy wrappers. They weren't just taped, they were layered, pressed flat like scales on the skin of something that used to breathe. Each wrapper had a name written across it in careful black ink. Dozens. No, hundreds. I stepped closer. "Your collection?" I asked, trying to sound like I wasn't shaking. He chuckled, a sound like old sugar breaking. "You could say that." My eyes flicked across the names. Tommy Hensley, Lisa Carson, Evan Price. Names I knew, kids who disappeared over the years. The ones adults said must have run away. But they didn't run. Their names were here. And then I saw mine. Taped perfectly above the fireplace, the black marker still glistening like it had just been written. My throat tightened. "That's not funny," I muttered, but he wasn't smiling now. He was watching me, eyes wide and wet, like he'd been waiting for me to see it. "Everyone gets what they crave," he said softly, "sooner or later." Something rustled behind me. I turned and froze. The wrappers were moving, just slightly, like they were breathing. The light from the fire shifted across them, and I swore I saw shapes pressing out from underneath, faces stretched thin, mouths silently open. He took a step closer. Do you know why they call me the Candy Man? I didn't answer. Couldn't. He reached into his apron pocket and pulled out a small gold-wrapped bar. Because sweetness lasts longer when you preserve it. That's when I saw it. The bar had veins, thin, red veins running beneath the wrapper. I bolted. He didn't chase me, but his voice followed, smooth and sticky. Don't worry, boy. You'll come back when you're ready for your craving. Outside, the air was sharp, cold, but my hands were still sticky. I looked down. Syrup, thick red syrup. And when I dropped the candy bar, it pulsed once before going still. I ran for the door. He didn't chase me. He just stood there, grinning. That awful, stretched grin. It was like his face couldn't stop smiling, even though his eyes were dead, glassy things that didn't blink. The doorknob was slick. My hand slipped twice before it turned. When the door finally flew open, I was hit by a rush of cold night air and the faint hum of children's laughter. Only, there were no kids outside anymore. The street was empty. Every porch light had gone out. Behind me, the sound started again. Not footsteps, crinkling, soft, rhythmic, like someone kneading a bag of candy. I turned just as the glow from the fireplace surged brighter, spilling into the hall. The wrappers on the walls fluttered, and then, one by one, they started to peel off. They didn't fall, they floated. And then I saw faces pressing from underneath the paper-thin candy foil. Eyes, mouths, silent screams, each one trapped in glossy plastic. Every name I'd read, every missing kid. He stepped through the swarm, still smiling. His teeth gleamed, perfect and small like candy corn. You shouldn't have left hungry, he whispered. That's when I realized he wasn't walking. He was dragging himself, his shoes stuck to the floor, leaving behind streaks of syrup so dark it almost looked black. Don't worry, he crooned. You'll be sweet enough soon. I backed toward the open door, but something brushed my ankle. The candy bar I dropped. It was melted. The wrapper split open and something pale slithered out. It wasn't chocolate, it was skin. I screamed and ran. I didn't think, didn't look back. But as I reached the yard, the sound grew louder, crinkling everywhere now. It came from the trees, the gutters, even under my shoes. Every candy wrapper on the ground started to move, twitching like something was crawling inside. I tripped over a pumpkin and hit the pavement hard. When I looked up, I saw his reflection in the window across the street. Not an old man, something hollow-eyed, thin as paper, with a face stretched into that same impossible grin, a mask of skin over nothing, and right before the porch light blinked out for good, he winked. The police came that night. They searched the house, empty. No wrappers, no candy, no man. They told my mom I was shaken, that it was probably just Halloween hysteria. Too many horror movies, too much sugar, a mind that blurred reality with imagination. But when the officer put his hand on my shoulder, I saw something twitch in his jaw. He'd smelled it too. That faint sweetness, like something burning behind the walls. The next morning, they boarded the place up. By evening, kids were already daring each other to go peek through the windows again. They said I made the whole thing up, but I saw how they said it, with a tremor in their voice, with eyes that darted toward Miller Street and back again. No one wanted to walk home that way after sunset anymore. A week later, I passed the house on my way back from school. The boards were still there, but one of them was loose. It flapped in the wind, hitting the siding with a hollow rhythm. And for a second I heard it, the crinkling, just once, soft and slow. Then a month later, the cops found something in the woods behind Miller Street. A pile of burnt wrappers fused together like melted plastic. Some of the names were still visible under the soot. Tommy, Lisa, Evan, not mine. That night I didn't sleep. I could hear it everywhere, the faint sound of foil shifting like someone folding candy paper in the dark. Every knock on the door made me freeze. Every flash of light through the curtain felt like his grin staring back. I told myself it was trauma. That's what the school counselor said. You saw something upsetting and your brain is replaying it. But candy started showing up, first in my locker, then on my porch. Each one wrapped perfectly in gold foil, no brand name, just that same looping handwriting. And when I finally unwrapped one, I froze. Because inside wasn't chocolate, it was a piece of wrapping, with my name written on it again. But this time it looked fresh, like the ink hadn't even dried. That was years ago. I've moved 3 towns over, changed my number, tried to forget. But every Halloween, without fail, there's a candy bar waiting on my doorstep. Full-sized, perfectly wrapped, my name written across the top in that same looping script. At first, I told myself someone was playing a cruel joke. Maybe Tyler, maybe one of the old neighbors. But Tyler's been gone for years. His family moved away after that Halloween. Nobody's heard from him since. I used to throw the bars away, but one year curiosity got the better of me. I unwrapped it slowly, the foil crackling in my hands. The smell hit first, sickly sweet, like burnt sugar, and then a sound. A whisper so faint I almost thought it was in my head. But it wasn't. It said my name. I dropped it and ran inside, bolted every door, left the lights on all night. But when morning came, the wrapper was gone. Only a faint syrup on the step remained. You grow older, and people tell you to move on. But how do you move on from something that never stopped following you? Sometimes when I'm out late and the air smells faintly of caramel, I feel it, the weight of that smile just behind me. Sometimes I hear it too, that faint crinkling sound like foil bending in slow motion. Maybe he's still out there, collecting names one candy bar at a time. Or maybe I'm already part of his collection again, and I just haven't realized it yet. Because last night, I found a new candy bar on my pillow. The wrapper was still warm, and this time, the name written on it wasn't mine. It was my son's. If this story chilled you to the bone, give it a like. It helps more people find our haunted corner of YouTube. Subscribe for daily nightmares and share this video with someone who thinks they're too old to be afraid of the dark. Thank you for listening and watching. There's another story waiting for you on your screen right now. Trust me, you'll want to hear that one next. I'll see you back here tomorrow, if the Candyman doesn't first. The Girl in the Mask. It started on Halloween night in our small town, one of those quiet places where the streetlights buzz louder than the people. Every house had fake cobwebs, plastic skeletons, and candy bowls waiting for kids in costumes that looked like dollar store nightmares. We were too old for trick-or-treating, really, but too young to give it up. So we went out anyway. 5 of us, walking shoulder to shoulder, trading jokes, and daring each other to knock on the weird houses. Then she appeared. At first, I thought she was just another kid from the neighborhood. A small figure standing a few feet behind us, dressed in an old-fashioned white dress that brushed the ground. The kind of thing you'd see in faded photographs your grandmother kept in a trunk. But what caught me wasn't the dress. It was the mask. Porcelain, smooth, cracked along the cheek like it had fallen once and been glued back together. The painted lips curled into a delicate frozen smile. Her eyes, God, her eyes were completely black behind the slits. None of us remembered her joining us. No footsteps, no giggle, no wait up. She was just there, like she'd always been. "Who's the kid?" I asked. "Thought she was with you," said Ben. We laughed it off. Maybe she lived nearby. Maybe she was tagging along for candy. Kids do weird things on Halloween. But as we moved from one house to the next, her silence started to sink in. She never took candy, never spoke, just followed, always staying exactly 3 steps behind. If we slowed down, she slowed too. When we turned, she turned. And sometimes, when she passed under the streetlights, I could have sworn I saw fog leak out from behind the mask, like she was exhaling something that wasn't air. By the 5th house, I stopped pretending not to notice. Something was wrong. That's when I realized no one else could hear her footsteps but me. We laughed it off at first, nervous laughter that didn't sound like ours. The kind of laugh you use when your body already knows something's wrong, but your mouth hasn't caught up yet. She probably went home. Kids get tired. But as we moved on, every shadow behind us looked like her. Every rustle of leaves sounded like soft footsteps. And then at the next house, she was there again, standing at the end of the driveway, mask tilted, hands by her sides. "I swear she wasn't there a second ago," I whispered. No one spoke. The night had gone too quiet. Even the crickets had stopped. When I turned back to look again, she'd moved closer. We decided to split up, to make a game of it, like idiots. I went with Ben down Maple Street. The others went toward the cul-de-sac. The air felt heavier there, thicker somehow, like breathing through wet cloth. We joked louder than we needed to, trying to make it feel normal. That's when Ben tripped. His flashlight rolled forward, stopping at a pair of white shoes, small, scuffed, standing perfectly still. She was there, the girl in the mask. She reached up, touched the cracked cheek of the porcelain, and cocked her head. The crack had spread, thin as a hairline fracture across the mouth now. Ben whispered, "Hey kid, you okay?" And she moved, not like walking, more like sliding, her feet gliding silently over the pavement. The mask never blinking, never breaking that faint, painted smile. We bolted. I didn't even remember running, just the sound of my breath ragged in my chest and Ben's sneakers slapping the asphalt. When we found the others again, we tried to explain, but the words tangled in our mouths. She moved, I stammered. They didn't believe us. Of course they didn't, until we reached the next house. There, sitting neatly on the porch steps, was the mask. No girl, just the mask. Its hollow eyes stared up at us, catching the reflection of the porch light. Then, as we stood frozen, the front door creaked open. A woman's voice, soft, trembling, came from inside. "Is that you again? I told you to stop leaving this thing at my door." That's when I realized we weren't the first ones she'd followed. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the house sounded like footsteps. Every whisper of wind scraped along the window like fingernails. I kept my door shut, the lights on, staring at the mask lying there on my bed, its blank smile fixed on me, like it knew something I didn't. I tried to convince myself I was dreaming. That exhaustion had twisted everything. But then, it moved, just slightly. The crack along its cheek widened with a soft, splintering sound, like porcelain straining against bone. That's when I heard the voice, faint, muffled, like someone speaking from behind a wall. "Let me out!" I stumbled backward, knocking over my chair. My mom came running in, asking what was wrong. I pointed at the bed, at the mask, but it was gone. Sheets perfectly smooth, nothing there. She told me I needed sleep. Maybe she was right. So I tried. But at 3:07 a.m., I woke to the sound of something breathing under my bed. Not fast, not animal-like, slow, deliberate, human. I grabbed my flashlight, hand trembling so hard the beam danced across the room. When I crouched down to look, I saw it, the mask. But this time it wasn't empty. Behind the porcelain, two wet black eyes stared back at me, and the mouth, the crack was moving, stretching, smiling wider. I shot up, ran out of the room, and slammed the door. I could hear it on the other side, tiny footsteps, the sound of porcelain tapping the floor, and that whisper again. "You wore me once. It's your turn now." I grabbed the mask, threw it into the fireplace, and lit the flame. I watched it burn, watched the paint bubble and the porcelain crack apart. I thought it was over. I thought fire would end it. Then I heard laughter, a child's laughter, coming from inside the fire. The mask split open like it was exhaling, and for a second I saw something step out of it, small, ash gray, with hollow eyes that reflected me. It looked right at me and whispered, "Your face fits perfectly." That's when the lights went out, and I felt porcelain press against my skin. I tried to tell myself it was just trauma, that the mind holds on to fear the way glass holds cracks, never fully mending. But every October, as the air turned sharp and the leaves curled dry at the edges, I felt her coming back. The first year it was faint, just a chill in the room, the feeling of being watched. The second year, I caught glimpses, a reflection in the mirror that didn't move when I did, the faint sound of a child humming behind closed doors. By the third, I stopped sleeping near mirrors altogether. Then came the fourth Halloween, 9 p.m., exactly like clockwork. I was in my room pretending to read when the streetlight outside flickered. The sound of kids laughing in the distance faded into something else, a low, rhythmic breathing that didn't belong to me. I looked out the window. There she was, the girl in the mask. Only now she was taller. Her white dress clung to her like it had been soaked and dried 100 times. She stood at the same spot where I first saw her years ago, her head tilted slightly like always. But the mask, God, the mask, wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. My face, my eyes, my mouth, painted white, cracked along the cheek. The black that once bled from her eyes now streamed from mine. I stumbled back from the window, heart pounding. The reflection in the glass didn't move. It stared at me, lips curving into a smile I didn't make. Then it spoke. "You kept me too long." The lights flickered again. My phone screen turned on by itself, a photo, no number, just an image. Me, standing outside, wearing the mask. I dropped the phone, ran to the window. The street was empty. No kids, no girl, but on the glass, where my reflection should have been, there was a faint handprint. Small, pale, and right beside it, another one, larger, mine. And for the first time, I realized something. Maybe I hadn't burned the mask. Maybe I'd only freed what was inside it. And now, it was learning to wear me. I didn't answer the door right away. Something in me already knew what it would be. 3 slow knocks, steady, patient, familiar. When I finally opened it, the night air felt thick. There was no one on the porch, no footsteps fading down the path. Just a small candy bag sitting in the middle of the welcome mat. Inside was a mask. Porcelain, smooth, perfect, still warm. But this time it wasn't cracked. It wasn't hers. It was mine. Every detail, the faint scar above the lip, the tired lines beneath the eyes, the exact shape of my mouth. I dropped it, stumbled backward, and it rolled face up across the floor, staring at me. That faint painted smile looked almost understanding. And then I saw her. At the far end of the street, beneath the flickering light. The girl in the mask, older now, taller, her hair longer, darker. She didn't move, didn't wave, just stood there, watching. For a heartbeat, I thought she might walk toward me. But instead, she tilted her head, slowly, deliberately, and pointed at the mask. Then she was gone. No wind, no sound, just gone. I tried to throw the mask away again, this time burying it deep in the woods. I even marked the spot. But every mirror I pass, every dark reflection, there she is, standing just behind me, smiling. And sometimes, when I smile back, she moves first. Maybe that's what she wanted all along, to be seen, to be remembered. Or maybe she's waiting for something worse. Because last night, when I woke up, I wasn't alone. I felt porcelain against my cheek, cool, familiar, and when I looked in the mirror, it fit perfectly. If you felt that chill run down your spine tonight, don't forget to like this video. It helps more people find our stories. Subscribe for new tales every night and share this one with someone brave enough to sleep with the lights off. Thank you for listening and watching. There's another story waiting for you right now on your screen. I'll see you back here tomorrow, if the mask lets me.